to Utah, where we're hearing for the first time some gripping new details on the final tense moments that led to the surrender of Tyler Robinson in the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk. 33 hours after Kirk was gunned down on the campus of Utah Valley University, Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby got a really shocking call from a friend, a retired detective.
He said, "Hey, I know who Charlie Kirk shooter is. I know the family through religious association, and he's in Washington County now, and we're working on trying to get him to come in voluntarily. He was truly fearful of being shot by law enforcement, so that the conditions were as relaxed and comfortable and almost to the point of inviting. And if at the end of the day we accomplish him surrendering peacefully on his own, I'm gonna make some concessions to make that happen."
Now, that phone call was quick. It lasted just 1 minute and 41 seconds. Sheriff Brooksby, who was talking just there, said he immediately called the Utah County Sheriff, where Kirk was shot, to tell them that they needed to send units to his town right away. Then he called his friend back and told him to bring Robinson in.
He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement. So part of the negotiation and getting him to bring himself in was that we would treat it as delicate and as soft as possible to make him feel comfortable to where he would show up at my office, and that's exactly what happened.
So he showed up at the office, and for 2.5 hours, Sheriff Brooksby waited in a room with Tyler Robinson, not interacting with him, not saying a thing. He says Robinson's mood was somber and quiet, and that it was around 2 o'clock in the morning when federal and state agents finally arrived and drove Robinson north to face justice in Utah County. Meanwhile, today, students returned to class at Utah Valley University. The school reopened 1 week to the day after Kirk was gunned down at the campus rally. Joe Cardinale is back with us. Joe, what do you make of, first of all, I found we had the sheriff from Utah County on this show last night, and he was talking about getting that call from Sheriff Brooksby and his shock that, 250 miles south, they had the killer right there. But I'm very struck by the fact that he decided to handle this in, quote, a delicate manner, a soft manner.
Well, you have to understand that this is a fluid situation that they weren't expecting, right? So now you have the shooter in the presence of another law enforcement officer, and with the clergy involved, his goal was to keep him in custody, not in custody, in a way that they can, address him and get him in safely, or, possibly, I guarantee you they were sending units to that area had he not done that, so he couldn't get away. I can almost guarantee you that they would roll at that point and get them down there. But to get him to the station, and as you said, 2 hours of them sitting there in silence, that's what you would expect, because it's not his place to set the stage for the questioning. It's the Fed.
Is that a hard rule? Like, don't ask any questions because he hasn't been read his rights. He, in fact, right away apparently asked for a lawyer. From all accounts we've heard about Tyler Robinson, he's many things, if not smart. But is that Sheriff Brooksby to sit there that long with him in that small little room and not say a word is kind of extraordinary.
If he was quiet, if Robinson was quiet and he was just sitting there not saying a word, there's no need to say anything else. People are watching. They were watching. I guarantee you it was recorded to make sure that that they can't claim that he was beat or anything like that. I can guarantee you that was going on, because that's what we would do. All right. But if the suspect would turn around, and the shooter in this case, not suspect, the shooter in this case, starts making spontaneous utterances, you can easily turn around and say, why don't you hold on? We're going to read you your rights and everything, have somebody read you your rights, because at that point, you want what they're saying documented. But he was very quiet. He was very quiet. He wanted a lawyer, and that's it. Once they lawyer up, that's it. They have, they have the right to remain silent, and they use it. In this case, maybe I'm more interested in the car ride over from there to the sheriff's office, if anything was said, because that could come up later on as well.
Yeah, and we have yet to hear from that retired law enforcement officer and member of the Mormon Church who drove him in, along with his parents also, by the way. I wanted to ask you, Joe, about the fact that he had said, Tyler Robinson, initially to his mom and dad when they confronted him and said, "Did you do this?" repeatedly. They didn't believe him when he first said no. He said he wanted to kill himself rather than to go to jail. We see in this video we're looking at right now on the screen in his preliminary hearing yesterday, and he's wearing this suicide prevention vest. Is that standard for any suspect who has been threatening to kill themselves?
Well, they're going to keep him secluded. They're going to take any means away from him for him to commit suicide. And he's going to be under 24/7 watch until this trial comes up, because he already stated that he wanted to commit suicide. I mean, the fact that he also stated that he didn't want to be taken out by SWAT just shows you the coward that he is, that he just wants to go in, because this is how he professes, the great thing that he thinks he did. All right. So, I mean, it's by standards. This is the way you would handle it. This is what you want to do. You don't want another Epstein incident. You want the answers eventually. And I'm not saying there's going to be a plea deal for answers. I'm sure that they have a large amount of evidence that they brought forward, and especially statements from his roommate, all right, from his lover, from his parents, from the family friend, ex-law enforcement. I'm sure all these statements are going to come in and they're going to add up to, a successful prosecution is what you want. So you don't want to take any chances with this and have any outside agencies interfere with this like they did. They did it perfect. That sheriff did it by the book, and I applaud him for that. And I applaud them the way they're handling this right now, giving him every opportunity to be comfortable, and now you don't want him to take his life. So you'll watch him 24/7. There'll be cameras on him.
Yeah, the local law enforcement's actually done an extraordinary job in this. It's just I don't think anybody had on their radar this small town in southern Utah, very conservative part of the state, very beautiful part of the state, I might add, that this would be the call where there's somebody would be calling saying, I have your shooter, he's here. I imagine also there's going to be a lot that they're going to try and get from the parents as well as the roommate. How does that investigation unfold? Are they still looking for accomplices or somebody who might have known something? Somebody, for example, on the Discord platform where he was communicating a lot?
Yeah, those search warrants were applied for. They seized everything, all his computers, everything in the house. Not only his computers, they'll take the roommates' computers as well, cell phones, everything. All the gaming rooms that he was on, they'll go back on that, and they'll get all the statements made from that. This is far from going to trial. It's a long way off. They're going to secure a bunch of information on him. They're going to trace back, everything with the weapon. They're going to look for pictures of him with that weapon to show that in court as well, to make sure there's no mistake that he used this weapon before as a hunting rifle, supposedly. Right? So there's so many components to this investigation, and you do have experienced prosecutors in here right now, and you have the feds alongside them. So, you're working it on both angles. If need be, it jumps over to a federal case.
One last question, Joe. He confessed to his buddies on Discord that he was the one who shot and killed Charlie Kirk 2 hours before his arrest. Not one of those people who he confessed to picked up the phone and called police. It's not a crime to not report something like that to police, but I'm surprised none of them did. Are you?
No, I'm not surprised, because this is where we are today, and especially we've spoken about this before, about how the logarithms have to change on these sites so law enforcement could pick up on this chatter. It's, you want Big Brother watching on something like this, but for those gamers and everybody else to sit back and say, maybe some of them said, I don't believe he did that, but you want to know something?
Maybe they didn't believe him. I don't know.
Maybe they didn't believe him, but it's still not the point. The point is you get on the phone, you say, listen, this person said this, you might want to look into them right now,
Yeah.
And the only time people really do that is when there's a reward aspect to it as well. So that's something else.
All right, Joe Cardinale, sharing some of your vast experience as Lieutenant Commander for the NYPD for many, many years. Really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.